My guest today is Spanish filmmaker Alex Lora. Now, he won the Sundance Grand Jury Prize in 2024 for his incredible short film, The Masterpiece, which has recently been Oscar shortlisted. Now, he is a recipient of 7 New York Emmys, winner of 2 Gaudi Awards, twice Goya nominee, and Student Academy Awards nominee. Now, Alex has screened 3 times at Sundance Film Festival as official selection, listed as one of the top 10 promising Spanish directors to watch for in Variety's Cannes edition. Now, his work has received over 200 awards, being officially selected in some of the most internationally acclaimed film festivals. He has taught film at several prestigious universities and received his MFA in Media Arts Production at City College of New York as a Fulbright Scholar mentored by Chantal Ackerman. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our very esteemed guest today, filmmaker Alex Lora and his Oscar shortlisted short film, The Masterpiece, to the show. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I understand that writers Alfonso Amador and Luis Quilez wrote The Masterpiece. How did you come to direct it?
So it was a weird story because Luis Quiles, he's the producer, and he wanted to direct it himself. So Alfonso Amador is a friend of mine, and they co-wrote together. And then he got busy; he had other things to do, and then he thought that given other movies that I made and other documentaries that always had like a social commentary, or they talk about minorities. I myself have a disability; I only have one arm. So he thought that I could be a good fit for directing the short film. And then, yeah, I read the script and I kind of envision it. And because, it has to tell you something as well. So it kind of told me something, and I felt connected. And I said, if you think that I'm the guy, I'm the guy.
Well, when you read the screenplay, how did you approach the story to bring it to life on film?
So I found that there were many layers on it. I also found that, in my opinion, needed to be rewritten a little bit because it was 27 pages, and at the end, I don't know, knowing a little bit about the film festival run, when you have these kind of very long short films, they have to be very, very good to make it into the film festivals, because at the end you're taking maybe 2 spots from other people. And so that was a thing that I was thinking, but still I felt very connected with the themes. And yeah, and I put that condition, if we only have 4 days to make it happen, I think, I would like to make it more consistent, change things here and there. Also, for my way to approach things, sometimes I like to put some humor, even if it's slightly there. So just to make it more mine, and I would feel more comfortable directing it, because at the end, it's not a thing of ego. You just want to try to do what you know that you can do and bring that to the project, right? And for me, it's very important always to kind of find a metaphor, a concept. And I really like to play chess. And from the beginning, that was the analogy for me, like, okay, this is it's a power struggle. I plays with the prejudice of the characters, but also with the prejudice of the audience, in my opinion, or at least that's what I was reading in there. And then I thought it's perfect for a game of chess, that two players are playing, and then some people are there looking. I mean, I really like to go to Union Square or to Washington Square to play chess, right? So, and he came along, and then visually, that's what I was trying, like this kind of straight angles. The house is almost like the board, and in a way, the music for me was the Fisher clock. No, now it's your turn. Now it's my turn. So that was the metaphor that kind of helped me to envision it, and in a way to bring up a little bit the themes, no, that were there.
Yeah, because, and you bring up a good point here, because in this film, you do see a lot of the straight lines, and which
Right.
really plays into the painting that comes up, not only towards, I guess, the second act and then towards the end when they start negotiating. So it plays very well with all of these right angles within this film. But tell me about the wealthy couple and then the father and son scrap dealers, because I know that the husband and the recyclers seemed to have a bit of distrust in each other, but the wife was very friendly until they were discussing the painting later on in the film. Then she had no problem creating a false accusation against them if she wanted to.
Right, right. I mean, the film tells a little bit also about hypocrisy. In a way, sometimes when we help, I mean, not everybody, and and there are good deeds to be done. But a question that sometimes we should ask ourselves is that if we are helping because we want to help or because we want to help us. And I think that's a little bit how she is feeling. She thinks that she's making these good deeds and helping them, but in a way, maybe it's just because probably that makes her feel better. And that's what I communicated to Melina Matthews, that she's a great actress, and of course brought her own persona and built her own character. But for me, it was a little bit of that. You want to help them, but from a place of privilege, like, oh, you will offer them books, because of course, books, guys. But the moment that you felt threatened, then that's gonna change, and you want to keep helping yourself. It's something that you've been already doing it, but now it's gonna be very obvious. And of course, everything is portrayed from a place from prejudice, which I think is not a critique. Sometimes some guys tell me, oh, I even watching myself the short film, I felt suspicious of myself, right? And I'm like, it's not bad. I think prejudice is something that it's kind of necessary to kind of function in real life, because at the end you have to simplify reality in order to react. Otherwise, it would imagine, is that a lion or is not a lion? And the lion comes and is like, yeah, I was a lion. So in a way, we need prejudices and to simplify reality. But on the other hand, we cannot just rely on those. You need to put thinking on things, and elaborate them more, right? So that was a little bit the fun thing, like, okay, how we can mislead or make the audience play with their own prejudice, you know, which is a thing that the brain does on its own. You sometimes cannot even control it, right? To throw them in front of a mirror in a way, right?
Yeah, because even in the beginning, the husband was already showing prejudice when he was sitting in the car, because
Right,
when the scrap dealer picked up the TV, the husband is going, he's probably not even going to recycle it. So
right.
that comment alone was showing prejudice against the scrap dealer. But this film highlights many opposites. There are two classes of people and two classes of income. But there were also three viewpoints of what is valuable. I also noticed that it could be white versus black, rich versus poor, because even racism was apparent from both sides, but their viewpoints a bit different in that area. And of course, regardless of economic status, capitalism does discriminate. And you showed that in this short film.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the masterpiece in a way is the system. It's not the painting, because it's sometimes it's so perfect, sometimes it's so evil. Sometimes it seems that has already thought about everything. And on the other hand, these are the rules of the game. We cannot escape them. So for the good and for the bad. And that was something that when I read the script, I thought that it was hidden there, and I was trying to bring it up a little bit or make it a little bit more visible, at least in the subtext that we were talking about, that masterpiece, which is the system. And yeah, there are two points of view. Of course, each one has they have their own realities, very different. But on the other hand, I thought, or where we thought that was important also, this kind of more neutral point of view, which is the kid, the which maybe he's learning how he has to do things, or maybe how he has not to do things. So it's a little bit open. And it also talks about fatherhood a little bit. Like, for instance, Salif, when he accepts the deal, it's because maybe he knows reality better, and even if you would have liked to fight, it would have been worse for us. So there are several layers there, but at the end, they all talk about the system.
Yeah, they do. And I have to ask you, Alex, because I'm really curious. There's a scene in the film there were two paintings still wrapped in bubble wrap. One had the number 8 and the word love written on the back of the smaller one. What is the significance of 8 love actually mean? Because when I looked up the number 8, it can mean love, prosperity, success, harmony in relationships, which, of course, the husband and wife were very successful, to say the least. And so I'm just kind of curious, did the 8 love on the back of that painting actually mean anything?
Yeah, I mean it's a joke, it's a joke. But on the other hand, I think that it's what we need. Number eight, it's the number of infinity sign in a way. So what we need in this society is infinite love, and instead of politics. And of course, there are things that are sentimental value. At the end, we need money for everything. That's a reality. We cannot change that. But some of the things and some of the problems that the system has could be just solved with a lot of love. So it was just a joke there. Just put it there. It's funny because you're the first person who asked about this, and I was like, no one will ask, no one will ever notice. But there you go. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're well. I try to dissect these films with a magnifying glass, and so to
You're good.
me, everything that appears on screen, most likely there's going to be a meaning to it. So I was very very curious. I was also curious about something else as well. The painting that was in the recycler's van. In the film, it's mentioned as it's a Maturana.
Right.
Is there a very special significance in the film that Maturana was chosen? As I know, his paintings can be a mixture of oil and watercolors, sometimes India ink. So I looked at that painting as, is this a metaphor for two classes of people that don't mix well?
Well, I didn't think about that. That's great. I think we just wanted to honor the artist because he's the true artist that made the painting, and at some point I thought that it was not fair to say that it was something else. So I think he deserved it. The painting is great in my opinion, and just honor him as the real author of the painting. And of course, people that are into arts, especially the ones that know the Spanish scene, might think that he's not like kind of these very famous painters, but still, we wanted to honor him, and that's what we did.
I like that. And I also love that in this film, every scene has a bit of, as I mentioned earlier, it has a bit of distrust between both the husband and wife, as well as the father and son scrap dealers. Uh, Again, the wife has always trying to extend a very friendly hand. In the very beginning of the film, the husband was not happy when the wife invited the scrap dealers to come to the house to pick up some more items that they would love to get rid of. The husband was not happy about that whatsoever. He was also not happy that when they opened up the gate, they backed their van up into their driveway, which was something that it's almost like you have you have the other side invading the territory of the other one, so there's creating tension. But again, it comes down to distrust, and that distrust also showed up when the husband saw that the son of the scrap dealer was actually in the house, even though he was just using the restroom. It was like, you should have asked first.
Right.
So there was this constant underlying tension throughout the whole film between both sides, but it was done seamlessly.
Yeah, I mean, distrust is something that it's something that I feel deeply connect with. Of course, I think there is sometimes this prejudice to judge the other, but sometimes it does not need to be a class or a race thing. Sometimes it just can be a difference. So that's something I've been, in a way, experiencing as a person with a disability. Sometimes the fact that being different, you could feel, not everybody, of course, but you can feel sometimes that people are not trusting you. In a way, maybe they don't trust you because they think that you are not able, or maybe just because you are different. So there is something there that I've always experienced on my persona with some people, of course, not with everybody, and it's something that I thought that could be, very work in the short film, like to get the power out of it, to milk it in a way, And of course, everything helps. The music helps to create that mistrust. Of course, the acting helps a lot, and the race, the difference in economical difference, all those things. But one of the things was the mistrust, besides um, the power economics, or one of the themes for me, the important one, was the distrust, because it's something that I felt that that you can milk it, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, because with like when the son was in their house using the restroom, you're talking about with the father and son. They're scrap dealers. They're always looking for anything that they pick up. Is that item actually valuable? Maybe when we recycle it, or either we keep it, take it home, as some recyclers can do, or they may find something that, wait a minute, we could actually sell this because there is value to it. I think the husband and wife felt invaded in a way that when he was in the house, they're always looking to see what's valuable. So for them, their mistrust was, you know, did you steal anything while you were in there? Which again
Right.
goes to show the prejudice because of the two economic classes that are in this film. So that's what I loved about this film because of the tension. But you also brought something up. It does, this film does make us look at our own prejudice, and we need to ask ourselves a lot of different questions because we
Right.
could, for some people, they can put themselves in the position of the husband and wife. How would you react if you invited scrap dealers to your house to pick up some items and then you were caught into the same scenario? What would you do? And I love short films that causes the audience to ask themselves questions, and this film does that.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was one of the ideas, of course, when they see them, there is this prejudice of, they have less, so let's see how they are going to take advantage of us. We are trying to help them, but where will be the boundary here? And that happens also with the bicycle. Oh, this is old, I'm going to take it then, if this is old. So there is this kind of struggle between both of them. And I would not say that, no one is right or wrong. It's just something that collides there, right? But beyond that, it's good that everybody, can try to put themselves in different shoes, and ask questions, like at the end. That's a little bit what I like in the things I do, that if they can create a reflection beyond the movie, even if it's a conversation, or if the movie sticks there for a couple of days and you think about it, I think that's the nice thing about film, beyond being entertaining, if it can create sometimes a little social change, or, or it's thought provoking in a way, I think that's great.
Well, I want to bring up the cinematography for a moment because one of the things that really caught my eye, I really wished that I had two screens to watch this film and certain areas of this film at the same time, because during the negotiation of the painting, I liked the placement of the characters. Both men were placed to the far end of the frame with the others in the background. So each shot of the husband and the wife mirrored the father and son recyclers. Uh, Also, the sound mixing, which we will talk about here in a moment, added the tension of the discussion over the painting, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Filmmaker. The wealthy man in the frame, he was in the right of the frame, and the scrap dealer at the left of the frame. But it allowed for the audience to focus on their interactions, but both of their words as well as emotions. Why did you want to place each of the main characters in the far end of the frame?
Yeah, I wanted just to switch, the regular uh, room or space, in a way, because I had this idea of the game of chess. So the figures would feel a little bit like pieces, and the kid and the wife, in the back, like if it would be a pawn and the queen, the king in the front. And then it was a way to confront them, like when you would switch to the other shot, you will have, it would seem like they are almost, front to front in a way, whereas if we would have placed them in the regular spot where they should have been, the husband in the left, and then the wife and the son more to the right, this confrontation would have been less evident, and it also created, or I mean, at least that was the idea when I was talking with Manel, who is the cinematographer. He's made an amazing job. um, I wanted to create this claustrophobic feeling, in a way. So we were talking also, so what should we do? Maybe 239. And I was like, yeah, we should squeeze it and put them, as confronted as possible, but in the same shot, no, 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 no. They are different walls, different shots. Each one has 45 degrees, but they are facing each other, even if in the space they are far. I want the audience to have the feeling that there is a real confrontation there, and then we'll try to pump it up with the sound design, but the framing, in my opinion, and that's the fun thing about filmmaking, that that the camera can also tell things, beyond the lines, that the characters say.
Yeah, because I was sitting when I was watching the film a few times, I was like, if I could just put two screens together so I could have one side here and one side here looking at each other, because I loved the placement of these characters so very much because it made you pay attention. And even though if it was framed with the scene when it was just with the wealthy husband, you focused on him.
Right.
Then the other scene with the father, you were focused on him. But because they were brought close to the edge of the frame, the audience felt the emotion of the tension because they knew that the other one was standing right in front of them. So I
Right.
thought it was brilliant because
Thank you.
you because of the way that you framed it and brought them close to the edge, technically actually facing one another instead of having them on the opposite ends where there would be space, they were literally confronting one another close up. Almost basically it's like a bullfight with the
Right.
matador and the bull, going at it because there's going to be no distance between those two. And
Yeah.
so I just love that placement.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, at the end, you never know how it's gonna go. You have your bets, sometimes your instincts, and you try to, envision it this way. And sometimes it works. Some other times you make mistakes. In this case, I think it worked. I do really think that when you are planning everything that can help the theme, or help visually what you are trying to say, I think it's going to be a win-win, and I remember going to the house with Manel and making all the plans, taking pictures. Okay, so we'll put them here and put them there, using some of our friends to make the placements and trying to find the right square for the pieces, they have to be there, so then and yeah, and for me, really, I'm telling you, this metaphor or concept that it has to be like a game of chess really helped to visualize it and also to communicate. And I remember Manuel sometimes, so let's put the camera here. And I was like, no, 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 it has to be there 90 degrees or 45 degrees, because I really want the squares, to be there. And that helped a lot to make it consistent. You know what I mean? That, of course, at the end, it's a short film and there are things that maybe might not be totally there, but at least there was a grammar in which we could build on.
Yeah, because you could see the angles in the background, but it played very well in the placement of the characters too. I also noticed that there were three levels of value in this film. The husband and wife had a value of the painting in their own eyes. The father and son recyclers, they had their own idea of what is valuable. But then you have the little boy who had a sentimental value to the bicycle because his grandfather gave it to him. What I found interesting was the little boy wanted that bicycle because it belonged to his grandfather. But the husband used it as a bargaining chip for the painting, he saw no value in the bicycle, which told me most likely that bicycle came from the father of his wife, not his own father. But the little boy saw the value in it, or sentimental value, and the recyclers knew that there was a sentimental value. They were even surprised that the husband would basically just, hey, I'll throw the bicycle in with a few $100s or a few €100 for that painting. And it really shows the heart of the husband that he's just looking for something valuable or the possibility of that painting being real and in their eyes worth millions.
Yeah, it's this idea that sometimes everything is replaceable, right? And sometimes the value we don't. I mean, the system has a lot of good things, but sometimes it has also bad things. And I think that sometimes you can end up being greedy and thinking that with money can buy it all. And the kid, he's young, he's 9, 10 years old, has not experienced yet what you can, he knows a little bit about the rules of the game, but has not been out there to play them, right? So for him, the value is something different than from the father, and as you're saying, it's probably the father's-in-law, bicycle. When he passed, he gave it to the, to the kid. For him is important, but being realistic, with the money of the painting, they can buy 1,000 bikes if they want, or 1 million bikes. You know what I mean? So it's not in the big scheme of things, the bicycle, it's worthless, compared with the other. So I mean, I think Luis and Alfonso were very smart, when they were building that beat in the script, because it's thought provoking. And yeah, and I
It,
remember, arriving to that point and reading it and saying, oh, this is something interesting here. We have nice elements to play with.
oh, yeah, yeah. But I've got to ask you about the last shot in the film. So the husband and wife's Tesla passed the recyclers, and it ended up in the picture frame that the son of the recycler was holding in the van. The couple were most likely taking the painting to have it appraised and authenticated. But then that shot showed that one class of people are left looking at another class of people, much like an expensive painting that is out of reach for 99% of the population.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right, and that's the kind of message that the most of the people get. Um, there is something that, because at the end, it's a kind of, even if it seems like a big budget short film, it's not. But the original idea was not that. I mean, there is a moment in the script where they are father and son having fun writing, oh, that's the car you like, right? And they are joking. It's like, yeah, but I like it gold. And it's like, oh, yeah, so you don't want that, right? Yeah, yeah, I'll take it, but then I'll paint it. So at the end, he said gold. He could have said red, whatever. But the idea was that the color that he said in that scene would be the Tesla that would pass them. And this was the producer's idea, and I thought it was great. Like, meaning that the dream or the possibility to escalate in the social ladder, it's gone. It's not going to happen anymore. The possibility, they had them in their hands, and now you just have the frame. So the metaphor there was very powerful, and I was like, yeah, we have to do it, and I don't know how we'll do it, but it's great. But then we didn't have the budget to bring another Tesla of a different color, so we had to use the same Tesla, right? And then it gives the impression, what you said, right, that the husband and the wife got the painting and they are like, let's go to make business with this, right? But both readings, I mean, both interpretations are valid. Sometimes I do think that at the end, the films belong to the audience, because sometimes you can have these ideas, or I wanted to do this, or we wanted to do that. And the nice thing about filmmaking and films are that they will have a meaning for each person, and some people might not like them at all, some people will love them, and that's the beauty.
Well, the thing is the frame, because I remembered when the son said, oh, I'm going to paint mine gold. but the frame was gold.
Right, right.
And and then when the Tesla passed him at the end, it was almost telling the father and son that painting is most likely very valuable because they sped past him, and you know they were taking the painting to find out if it was a real version. And so there was just so much in that one shot. I literally just paused it and I just stared at that shot because I'm like, there is just so much here in this one shot. And like you, it'd be up to the audience to figure out their own interpretation, which is why film is so great because
Yeah.
people can read into certain scenes, you know, anything that just pops up into their mind. But I've got to ask you about the sound mixing because I absolutely found it amazing. I love the rhythm of the beat, like a clock or like a metronome. It created the tension within the film. So, whose idea was it to create the beat?
That was my idea. As I told you, it was the game of chess. You know, when you play chess, you have the Fisher clock next to you. You know, and it does not click. But what does click is your hand hitting the clock. You know, clack, and then the other hand clack, clack, clack. So for me, when I was like this, a game of chess, in a way, I was listening these sounds like my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. So then I tried different things. I was like, okay, a clock, maybe can, and they were not working. And then I remember one of the movies I co-wrote that was directed by Antonio Tibaldi, a friend of mine. Mehdi, the composer, had one cue in which he had some drums. The cue was more complicated, you know, like they were like violins and stuff. But these drums that were used just in a part, I thought like, oh, these drums, in a way, they came to maybe they work, and in a way, it seems that they come from Africa, even maybe, and but this is the tone I'm looking for. So I asked him, do you think I can use it? Can you get rid of the other things just to have the drums, because I want to try them in this other short film? And he was, very generous and said like, yes, and if you like them and they work, just use them. So, and I thought that they were giving exactly the exact tone that the short film deserved, with this mistrust, and in a way it's like almost like a psychological thriller in a way. It was something that I wanted to kind of try. At the end, I've made these social documentaries or films with a social commentary, which are great. But on the other hand, I was like, I'm coming back to United States. I would like to prove also to the industry that I can do something still, with a social commentary, but different in tone, that can be a little bit more commercial, whatever. So it was a bet, and they work. And then I remember that I shared the film with the director of this other movie that I'm telling you, where we use that cue. He told me it works very well, but you know what? Maybe you should try some pizzicatos or chords there to make it like more weird. And then I asked Mehdi, and he was busy, so I asked another friend, Namina, who added these chords, and it creates this weirdness, or it's a little bit uncanny sometimes.
It
And but
did. It did because out of all of the films that I saw in 2024, this is the only film where the sound mixing creates its own signature for the film. The film wouldn't be the same without it. And and like you said, it gives you that weird feeling, but you feel it throughout the whole film. And the beats are not in every shot, but they show up at a very particular time because it's almost telling the audience, okay, you need to start thinking. And and that's what I loved about it. This film would not be the same if that sound mixing wasn't there. So it was absolute brilliant filmmaking of putting that into this film, uh, because I can't even think of another film in the past year that would even equal to have a particular sound or note that creates a signature for film. But that's why this one stands on its own. Now, earlier in 2024, you won Sundance
Right.
Now, this film has been Oscar shortlisted. How do you feel about the announcement of the nominations coming up?
I think it's gonna be, very difficult. I watched the 15 short films there. Actually, I watched a lot because this year I had the honor of becoming Academy member. So I had access to the 30 ones that I had to watch, and then to the other 150. Of course, I could not watch all 180 short films, and I wanted to be as fair as possible. When you try to vote, but on the other hand, it's just almost impossible to watch the 180, being honest. So I think that it's good that they have all these academy members, because I think maybe among all of us kind of create some justice, if there is justice. But I try to watch as many as possible. So to be honest, I was not even thinking that we were going to make it to the shortlist. I'm surprised that a lot that I thought that were, our is a masterpiece, yes, with the title, but I watched others that were like, they are real masterpieces. You know what I mean? So was not expecting it. We were very happy, and still not believing it. And now it happens the same thing. There are 15 short films there. I have, of course, my favorite, but I think that all of them are very good. As I said, it went beyond our expectations from the get-go. We were not thinking to get into Sundance. I thought that for me, Sundance was done. They selected one short film in 2012, another one in 2014. So in a way, they have already supported me. After that, I made my two feature documentaries, then a feature film that I wrote, and another one I directed. So for me, it was like kind of the parents, like, hey, we supported you. Now you are in the real life. That's it. Now you're coming back with another short film. Come on, you're not grown up now. So I was not expecting that I would be selected. And I was not expected that we were gonna win. I mean, I remember watching short films at Sundance, and I was like, "Oh, this one is so good." And also, I don't know. I remember watching the documentary of Alex Hedison. I really like, for instance, or Mali Obama was there also with her short film. So the last thing that we thought is that what that was gonna happen, right? So from the get go, it went beyond our expectations, and the rest is being, just a gift here, gift there. Being shortlisted, it's already amazing. Of course, we would be very happy to be nominees. That I'm not gonna lie. But I understand it's gonna be very difficult. Whatever happens, everybody deserves it, and we are gonna be very happy. And of course, also during this journey, because it's intense, so you make some friendship with other short films that are there, and people that are in your same position. And at the end, it's like, hey, man, if you make it, I'm gonna be happy for you. What can I say?
Yeah, and
So.
that's the greatest thing. And out of the last 3 years, this is the toughest group of films, short films, I've ever seen. But I also look at the short film now as being, it is such a huge contender. That class is such a huge contender, even for the studios now. So everybody is paying big attention to the best live action short films, even the best, animated shorts. So these categories are growing in popularity. I mean, even for 2025, there were over 11,000 submissions at Sundance just for 57 short film slots. So it
Right.
shows you that the short film is here to stay. And to me, regardless if you have numerous feature films under your belt, I know a lot of directors that will still do a short film uh, anytime they get a chance to do it. But for you, Alex, what has been the audience's reaction to this film?
I mean, there is disparity. Some people, when you go to film festivals, I have to be honest, the most of the people that approach to you, it's because they like the film, and they want to, either congratulate you, or, they want to know more about the short film. But there are sometimes other people that they don't like it. And I respectful, and some people also feel upset sometimes, like, hey, you were playing with me. At the end, you made me think that the black guys were the mean ones, and they are not. And I feel like that's cheating, and I don't agree. And especially at the end of the day, you're a white dude. Why are you doing this? You know what I mean? So, and I respect it, and I accept a part of the responsibility. As I said, I think that at the end, it's also entertainment, and there is an industry behind. It's not that we are writing philosophy, you know what I mean? Which would be more complicated than if you are making those statements in a way. And but I understand. I understand that there is going to be criticism always, and there is going to be price, and that's what we do, and we accept it as part of the game, and we are exposed, and it's fine for me, you know. And sometimes I have to say that they get personal, and I just don't want to get back. I just accept it, but I do feel that they are not fair sometimes, you know, like
Yeah, but I think I'm happy that this film created multiple opinions because
right.
that's what film is supposed to do. You know, sure, there's every now and then you get a film that everybody will agree with, but then there's going to be those films that you're going to have people like, "Oh, I loved it," and then you're going to say have others that said, "No, I didn't really like it." But then some films cause people to look at themselves. But I just love the way that you took a subject of diversity and equality without causing a division because I was kind of wondering at the end. I'm like, who's going to get the painting? Because on one side you're like, hey, if it's worth millions of dollars, man, if you see something, go for it. Of course, I would have, if I would have, if I was the wife, I would have never said a word. I would have just whispered to the husband, offer him a couple of $100 for it, get the painting, and then do what you need to do. But she kind of showed her hand because the other son was listening.
Right. Maybe she thought that
So
also
that,
part of a prejudice
yeah.
that, oh, they are, you know, they come from Africa, they probably don't speak English, you know. I don't know.
But but Alex, I love this film. It deserves its place to be on the Oscar shortlist, and I know that within the next couple of weeks we're going to find out if you become Oscar nominated. But ladies and gentlemen, Alex Lora's Oscar shortlisted short film, The Masterpiece, which is, I would say, rightly named, is about Leo and Diana, a rich couple. They bring a broken TV to a recycle point. But they meet Salif and his son, two scrap dealers. Now, Diana asks them to come to their house to get more objects. Once there, Leo looks at them collecting objects with mistrust until they see the scrap dealers have something they want. There are so many layers to this short film, and you have to truly watch it with a cinematic eye because every element of this film is part of the story. The story captures your attention instantly. The characters stand alone, separate from one another, and they have different attitudes, different ideas, where one couple is living the dream and the father and son are being reminded they aren't in that wealthy class and can only look at being at that level of wealth as if it was some sort of dream. Now, the cinematography is precise and places each of the characters in position of power, economic status, weakness, and vulnerability. And in many cases, there's a winner and there is a loser. Now, the masterpiece is brilliant filmmaking. I love films that challenge me as I don't just want to look at them at face value. There are stories within the making of a film, and there are little things like objects or words or the mannerisms of the characters. I can see why the masterpiece is Oscar shortlisted, and again, we will soon find out if it's nominated. Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming
Thank
on and
you.
sharing your film with us today, and much continued success to you on your Oscar journey. And you are welcome back anytime, as I can't wait to see your next film.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure, and you have an exceptional eye, and I really enjoyed even these Easter eggs that I kind of put there. You know, there were a couple. There was another one that kind of totem there that only has one hand. Also, I was like, I put it there, you know. But this one with the egg was great. So I really love your approach, and I feel very honored, you know, to have shared this conversation with you. And thank you so much.
Well, you are very welcome, and I love films that challenge my eye, and this was one of them. And again, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you get the chance to see the masterpiece, you're going to see an incredible film, but you got to watch really, really close. But again, like I always tell you when you watch film, let yourself absorb it. Let it wash over you. You're going to see things within the story. Just don't look at it at face value. And don't be looking at your phone when you're watching a film. Pay attention, because there are little things that will excite you when you go, oh, I figured it out. And that's what film is all about. So, but I want to thank all of you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. And as for me, you'll either see me at the movies or from the red carpet.
Woo!